What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Man Card Podcast. We're very excited you decided to join us today, and every week we like to put out a quote of the week. And of course, this week, and I think we're switching it up from here on out, Mitchell has got a quote for us. Give it away.
Last year I made $49 million, and it really pissed me off because it's $3 million shy of $1 million a week. Scrooge McDuck.
Hit it. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the show. Yes, I know before you say it, we suck. We suck again. I think I said this the last time when we started back for this year. We've had a lot of stuff going on. I could make a ton of excuses, but I'm not going to because I love you guys. Whoever's listening out there, thanks for tuning in. And just a little quick update right here at the beginning. Mitchell, you actually looked into getting a new intro and outro done.
We will have it soon.
We'll have it soon.
Within the next, plethora of videos you will see.
Actually, we might have it done for this video.
Maybe.
Because this is being posted in the future.
We are in the... I get so confused with this multiverse shit that we got going on.
Yeah, it is it's
time
odd.
Travel that we're doing.
It's weird.
But yeah, Fiverr dude replies to me. He says his turnaround time is a couple days. Sweet. I'll send it over to you. It's simple plug and chug, and
okay, I'm totally in.
We're dancing.
Yeah,
salsa.
You haven't showed me what it is yet either. So I don't want to know.
You don't want to know? Okay, cool.
Because I want to be just as surprised as the viewers out there.
Fantastic.
Because didn't we say, because you said this one we're doing is like $80.
So yeah, there's some really expensive ones. There was one that it's some girl that does it, and it's $450. But
whoa!
But here's the thing, hers are cool.
Is it full on animated?
But here's the thing, it's not it's more so like a quick little animation into the logo. It's not like a whole intro. So for example, there's a person that had a little clip art. Their logo was a clip art alligator or something. And so the video starts, it's only 10 seconds. It starts with an alligator in the shadows or whatever. And then it turns its back and you see it's huge, and then it roars, and then it shrinks down into the cute little thing. It's cool.
That is cool.
And I'm not paying $450 for, sorry,
that is cool.
10 seconds of something. But we got one.
It could be our guy, doing a shit ton of benching,
smoking a cigar,
and then it condenses down into the stamp.
Oh, dude, I gotta see if they could do that.
That'd be freaking sick.
Yeah, it finishes with a...
I bet you there's some smaller animators that could totally do that, like she does, except maybe not on the scale.
Well, we talked about it last time. We could do our intro, because obviously we need something for the YouTube videos. But if we, eventually start posting on TikTok, we could do something, and then at the end it does a stamp.
I need to give you the login for that stuff.
Okay.
Because I was on it for a minute.
Okay.
And then I'm once again, I'm just not built to do that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I deleted TikTok. Of course, because I wasn't posting, I was just scrolling on TikTok.
Yeah.
So I need to give you the login.
Sure.
Because I'm sure because you actually have TikTok downloaded, so
yeah, I can't get off.
You can probably jump between the accounts and make that happen.
I actually on your phone you can set limits on certain apps, and it'll send you a notification saying, "Hey, you are on." I set it for 4 hours for social media.
And you hit that
shit every day, dude.
First 20 minutes of the morning.
Dude, I hit it every day. And the issue is I stay up till 1 o'clock, so I already waste an hour from 12 to 1 a.m. And
rough. That's rough stuff.
Yeah, it is. It's actually sad. It's really sad.
Well,
but
that's okay. We will get the intro sorted out, and we will get hopefully our social media sorted out. The problem with being such a small outfit that we have here at Man Card Podcast, namely you and me, is that there's nobody tertiary to do a lot of that primary stuff. That could be their thing, is to edit and post.
Yeah, if we
and
had
that's what they do.
Yeah, a social media person specifically for that stuff.
We're not hiring.
Well, no, we're not. I ain't got money for you.
I promise.
But if you want to make nothing.
If you want to do that, then let us know.
We spend more money than we make on this thing. So
no, definitely. We've made. Oh, hold on. We've actually made on Anchor. We've never cashed out, and I think we've made $18.
That's crazy. In 2 years.
Yeah, since 2019.
Wow, that's what, an 1,800% return from what? We'll just say it started at 1 cent.
Yeah, it was horrible.
So that way the math works out.
Yeah, we'll just say it's man card coin. It's going up, dude.
Man coin. Yeah.
Man coin going up. Actually, that's pretty freaking sick.
It's not bad.
It's
Cryptocurrency?
That's not horrible.
You make it blow up, cash out, and then
what if you did an NFT, and I just came up with this right now, called the Lumberjacks, and every lumberjack was like different like setup.
I'm sure dude, they have an NFT for everything now.
Yeah, maybe. But I was thinking like you could totally get creative and come up with something that nobody else has.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's not even a matter of being creative anymore. It's not even about the art. Like it could literally be a picture of a rock. Now it's switched from how cool the art looks to real life aspects, popularity, and then like real things that you can do with it. So like, for example, the Bored Ape Yacht Club, if you have one, you get invited to parties, you get, like some club thing that invites to, know, private events. You get, maybe a royalty of some sort if you own it and things like that. So, it's all about utility.
So this is why I think Gary Vee is dead wrong about NFTs, because there's never going to be a situation in which there isn't a real life translation of value from something that you're digitally owning, right? Like exactly what you're saying. Like inherently, the Bored Ape Yacht Club is not going to be as popular as it is now if it didn't have that stuff kind of attached to it, right? Because you could own one of those and not be very high status, right? And then get invited to these parties and meet a bunch of people who are very, very high status.
Like Steph Curry.
Right,
and
exactly.
Stuff like that.
So when it comes to translation of value, people no longer think of the value in terms of just what they're buying, like art, right? Because art is literally a physical object that you can own.
Yeah.
NFTs you can never physically own.
So I actually just came to the realization of this about a week ago because I was watching a video because I started thinking like, honestly, these NFT things are fucking stupid. Like I've spent a ridiculous amount of money on them.
Yes.
I haven't made any money yet. Granted, I'm in it for the long run. But I was like, this is stupid because it's just pixel, it's just art. And then I'm buying ones that don't seem to have any utility. And a lot of people are doing this. So it's going to die. So I was like, what is the point of NFTs? Why are people so into these and like, why is Gary Vee all over it besides it being a fad?
Right.
So it's not necessarily the NFT and art. So the way that I understood it, and the person explained it relatively well, I'm going to shit on it in terms of explanation is...
I hope you do, because then somebody will blow up in the comments and be like, this is dumb.
Exactly. And they'll correct me. No, they won't. We don't have people that will listen. Anyways, an NFT is transferred on a blockchain.
Correct.
And if you understand the blockchain, all it is simply just, it's decentralized. And so, for example, if you have a group of 5 people and I have a ball, if I give the ball to John or whoever is in this group,
what's up, John?
Everybody here can confirm that John now owns that ball because they saw it and they have a receipt of it in their mind. They can all confirm. So everyone knows that John is the owner of that ball.
Sure.
If I go out and buy another ball and say, "Oh yeah, John gave it back to me" or whatever, and none of them saw it, they're like, they're skeptical.
They're like, no,
we didn't
his
see
ball
that
was
happen.
blue. His ball was blue.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
one's purple.
That one's purple. We didn't see it happen. There's no receipt of it. There's no proof of it. So John still owns the original ball. So that's how the blockchain technically works.
Right.
What they're going to evolve to, and this is honestly what I think is a great business plan, but I think people are already developing it, so I'm not going to try.
Unfortunately.
So what are things in real life that are hard to transfer between people that have to go through a lot of steps? Buying a house.
Yeah.
Selling a car. You buy a house, you got to get, we'll do car because I know the terminology better. You got to get the title. You have to get proof that you know who owns the title. Is it the bank that owns the title? Is it you that owns the title? You got to go through legal things whenever you sell something important like that. What they want to do is you'll send in something like a title or the deed to your house. A company will go through and verify it, make sure it's the legit title.
Yeah, right.
And what they'll do is they'll send you an NFT that correlates to your
the ownership
title
of the house or whatever.
So from now on, you can transfer things like that without having to go through, legal thing, whatever. You just transfer it on the blockchain, and therefore it's a official receipt. So like if you buy the car from me, you send me crypto, or money or whatever, and I send you the deed on the blockchain. Therefore, it is official. You own it. Everything on the blockchain. No one can,
dispute
go in and hack that. No one can dispute it.
Well,
so it's simple transfer of.
And what's interesting about it is it prevents fraud.
Exactly.
Right? So you have a house that's being sold, and let's say somebody is scamming you, and you say, "Hey, send me over the verified X company."
Yep.
You know,
You
it's
can
kind
trace
of like
it all the way back to the
or
origin.
Carfax.
Yep.
Right. So you send me the home fax, right? The home fax coin or whatever.
Correct.
And they'll like, okay, yeah, we'll send it to you. And then they send you like nothing, right?
Yeah.
They won't send it to you.
Yeah.
But then somebody who actually sends it to you, they don't even have to necessarily send you the deed to the house anymore. The deed to the house can be just existing.
Yeah. The company that created the NFT for it can just hold it.
Can be a holding company.
Yep. Exactly.
Ooh, yeah, that's pretty tight.
So yeah, and it's simple because you can have scammers. Someone can send you an NFT that says, yeah, this is the NFT to the deed of my house, of the house that you're buying, but you can simply just sit there and trace back because there's receipts for everything and says where was the origin of this. If the origin wasn't like a company or someone that's verified, it's just some schmuck in India.
Sure.
Then boom, it's fake. It saves you a shit ton of money and not being scammed. And yeah, that's
pretty
where
cool.
it's going to.
Yeah,
Right
and I
now
think,
it's just art.
Yeah, I think Gary Vee is right in that sense, where he was really going off on saying that, when it comes to NFTs, everything's going to be NFT'd in the future. And I'm like, okay, well, that's kind of a shitty prediction because, like, if you think of like a baseball tickets, right? It's on your phone, scan it, boop,
Yep.
I'm into the game.
It's technically an NFT.
It technically already is an NFT.
Yes.
Right? It's just it's not verified through a blockchain. It's verified through a third party company who sells
Correct.
the tickets,
Correct,
right?
yes.
So I'm like, okay, all you would have to do to put that on the blockchain is to take that company and just have that company do an NFT project for the ticket section for that game.
Yep.
In the what's the wallet for your NFTs called?
A crypto wallet. That's
Okay,
really,
so you just
it's
have
a wallet. Yeah.
So they just produce, for you to access through your crypto wallet the tickets for the game. It's in there. Boop, scan it like normal. Nothing has changed except you're buying it instead of through the third-party ticketing company. You're buying it through your wallet.
Yeah, well, the other thing with the blockchain that's amazing is the whole decentralized thing. So another example is take TikTok. You make a video on TikTok.
Yeah.
And let's say TikTok, the servers right now, they blow up. TikTok's gone. It's down
right.
or whatever. No one can get access because all the data, all the videos that you created are owned by TikTok.
Yeah.
You take a company that, take TikTok and let's say they use the blockchain and make it decentralized. Now you have the power, you have the video basically on your own little device or server.
Sure.
And so you're transferring it throughout a whole bunch of people. So if, my phone dies, no one might be able to see my videos or anything like that go around, but TikTok didn't go down. You can blow up TikTok and then TikTok will still exist on the blockchain because people are sending and receiving data because there's no centralized.
That's cool.
So
that's really cool.
We'll see it in the next decade.
But. Yeah, I mean, we'll see where it goes. I mean, really, it can go anywhere. It's going to end up being the same thing as the internet, right?
So Web3 is what they're calling it.
Right. So it's like, in the 90s when they had the .com bubble burst, right? Everybody was like, nope, internet's over, done, doesn't matter, this is irrelevant. And then they very quickly realized, oh, wait, that was just simply, and I think there's gonna be a crypto bubble.
Oh, absolutely,
guarantee,
absolutely.
And then on the other side of the crypto bubble is the
new innovations,
ubiquity going to arrive from that set. So I'm excited for when the bubble bursts. Right, I think that's going to be great.
I think that's when you get in.
Yeah, when it bursts.
I know it's going to be hard.
It's going to be hard to get in, but yeah,
it's going to be similar to how people invested in Google and Microsoft back in the day before the whole burst and thing happened
before web. Yeah,
and then it grew and made a crap ton of money. It's going to be the same thing with crypto. You can invest in companies early on, like Solana or Ethereum or whatever, blockchains early on, and they'll eventually boom. And that's what the whole crypto thing is. It's not necessarily even coins. It's just the stock or the functionality of each coin.
Yeah. So I got a story real quick. There was a guy. So when I was at Tech, my dad used to work at Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Right. And he was a fundraiser in the College of Business. And so there was this was the year that Georgia Tech went to the NIT championship up in New York in Madison Square Garden. Right. So Georgia Tech, just so people know out there, we used to be really good at basketball. We're not that great. So for us to make it to the NIT championship is a really big deal. So they were in Madison Square Garden playing a 3-game series, and my dad was up there hosting donors, right, and doing a conference or whatever. And so I texted him. It was like midway through the week, maybe Wednesday. And I texted him. I was like, man, I'm done for this week. Like, I have nothing going on. And he literally called me. He was like, hey, do you want to come to New York? because I'm up here, so like we'll split a plane ticket and you can come on up. And I said, yes, sir. So I literally was on the next plane out that evening. So grabbed a bag, went down to Hartsfield Jackson and flew up there. On the way up there, I was on the plane and was sitting next to this guy. And I was reading the book, I don't know if you've ever heard, Lion.
No.
Okay, so definitely go watch the movie Cry to Yo Mama Sad. It's really good.
I've seen Lion King.
Yeah, Lion King, it's like Lion King on like 1,000 times steroids.
Okay.
It's like a young Indian boy gets separated from his family and like has to find them years later. Very, very cool. So from that, I finished the book on the plane in the last like 45 minutes of the flight. And then I turned to the guy next to me and he was, business professional, suit, tie. And I was dressed up fairly nice for the plane as well because I was landing and had to meet my dad at like a conference thing. So I was dressed fairly nice as well. And we just started talking on the plane because I'll talk to whoever. And he was just telling me about what he did. He was a consultant and he was consulting on like blockchain stuff. And this was this was years ago.
Oh, that dude's rich as shit right now.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so I'm still friends with him on LinkedIn and I send him a message every once in a while just to check in. Of course, he never replies because
he's rich as shit now.
Because I'm a little shit now. I'm nobody. But he was talking to me about like, hey man, like if you ever need, and this is like airheads, right? They're just full of it. They just don't ever do anything they say. And he's like, man, if you ever want to like talk and like get more insight into consulting or like come to New York and maybe have an internship or whatever, like just let me know. I can't remember off the top of my head what company he worked for, but he was like, yeah, I'm going to, give a presentation on the blockchain. And I invited him to the conference that I was going to. I was like, hey, if you want to come by, there's like at some CEO that's going to be there. So like come by, say, hey, like, we can hang out. And he was like, yeah, just send me the details. He almost came. But he couldn't make it. Unfortunately, he had to catch a flight out. But that's what I'm saying. So it's like, there's so many different situations where it's like you just meet some random ass person on the plane and he's the guy in blockchain.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sit back and think, Lexi's dad was getting into it back in 2017 and he was like, by that time Bitcoin was like $8,000. So everyone was like, oh, it's at its peak. It's already blown up.
Right.
And so he was mining Ethereum. And at the time it was like, $50 to $100. And I sit there today and I think, because obviously I haven't had any conversation with them in a long time. I was like,
what's Ethereum at now?
3,100, but it hit a high of like 4,800 at one point. I'm sitting there thinking if this fucker like had like, let's just say he mined like 1,000 Ethereum at like, $50 or something like that. Dude. And he kept it up until this point.
It's crypto billionaire.
Pretty, but honestly, I think I have a gut feeling that he probably got rid of it when it hit its peak back in 2017 and then died.
See, so that's my problem. Yeah. Is I had so my family was like is big on like investing down into generations. So my grandparents from when I was little, me and my sister both opened up little like stock accounts for us and would like as Christmas presents put money into the stock accounts. So those would grow for years and years and years as we grew up. Yeah. And they're kind of like Apple, like blue chip stock when it was like back in the 80s, 90s was like Exxon, right? So Exxon, the oil company, was huge, right? And so they were just putting money into this Exxon stock. We just cashed out, Ellie and I did, because we're looking to get a house, we're trying to liquidate a lot of stuff, and it was a cool 11,000, and I was like, that's awesome.
That's great.
And then of course, like I was just like out of curiosity. What if those amount of shares in Exxon were in like Apple in the same time period? I did the math and it was like 200 grand.
Yeah.
And I was like,
fuck you, grandma.
Oh, no. Well, because that's the thing, because you can't even do that, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like if you had put this amount of money into X stock, to them, that was the blue chip stock
at the time.
And of course, like I'm very grateful. That's very thoughtful of them to do that. They did not have to do that. Ellie and I are totally fine without it, but like it's so nice of them to do that.
Which is why I'm trying to urge you that you should probably get into crypto while it's still early.
Okay, so that's the funny part is I'm just waiting. And the whole moral of the story about the Exxon stock is I sold it just now because it popped up from $70 to about $82. In like 2 days.
Yeah.
And the only reason I wasn't selling it for years and years and years now is I didn't know how to log in. I totally forgot all of the login credentials.
Yeah.
And it popped up $10, $15. And I was like, I texted my dad. I was like, hey, do we have the login stuff for this? Like, could I sell it? And he was like, yeah, let me see if I can find it. And he found it. And I logged in and sold it. And the day ended at like 81, right? And I sold it, cashed out. And the next day, like if you look at it now, it's like 78 or like 76. And I'm like, hell yeah. I felt like I was like Wolf of Wall Street shit.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I'm on it, dude. I was on it. But all that to say, it's like sometimes it's best to just forget about it.
Oh, well, yeah, absolutely.
Right? Just like because you can have, there's the guys of the stories, like they find a thumb drive of Bitcoin from 2008.
Yeah, could you imagine?
And it's like worth billions.
Yeah, you find a flash drive and all of a sudden, there's like, oh, there's just like 100 Bitcoin. That's
a lot of money.
That's quite a chunk of cheddar cheese right there. So,
but we have talked too much about freaking Bitcoin and stuff. We've got about 8 minutes left.
Dude, honestly, I'm going to change our gears a little bit.
Okay, change it up.
This is now officially a Monday episode. We're going to talk this first half about crypto, and the next half we talk about Valentine's Day, and then we'll catch up on each other on the next one. So if you want to cut this out.
You're watching this live. No.
Time travel is real.
This is funny because we usually, and I'll just let the people know out there what goes on here. We try to keep up with the schedule, do Mondays and Fridays on the same day.
Yeah.
And then, have those kind of go into each other.
Yeah.
So that when we post the Monday and then you go to watch the Friday, it's not discontiguous.
Correct.
Like it's kind of like the same formula.
Because we don't have time to meet up twice a week because we don't live necessarily right next to it.
Which would be awesome if we did.
Yeah.
That'd be sick. But
well, you'll be moving closer if you get Woodstock.
Yeah, definitely.
I go to Woodstock to the gym every day, so we could change things up if I'm here. Anyway, we can catch up on Friday. About that stuff.
So we'll catch up Friday. But you're watching Switching Gears live here, folks. This is big time.
This is financial advice, and then the second half we're gonna have love advice. So.
Oh gosh. Okay, Mitchell, just listen. You got the show, man.
I wish I had like a soothing voice, talking, like one of those diamond cut commercials is like
you've got a friend in the diamond business.
Shane Company. I love that commercial, and they changed it.
Did they really?
It's not that anymore.
Good.
Oh, you memorized the whole thing. Yeah, it's easy. But I think they changed it because they have more locations now.
Do they?
So they couldn't, in Kennesaw or blah blah.
Oh, okay. They had to shorten it.
Monday through Friday till 8. Saturday and Sunday till 5.
So good.
Online. Yeah.
Online. Dude, that's so good.
But
okay, so you want to lead this train, freaking lead it, dude. What's your next thought? I mean, I can definitely take it if you don't.
No, my next thought, are we staying on crypto and investing?
Crypto investing. That's fine.
I'll just go ahead and so there's a podcast that I listen to every Tuesday. It's called Millennial Money.
He's awesome.
Yeah. You've listened?
Oh, is this the guy or is this the channel?
Guys. There's 4 guys.
Okay.
So this is it's a podcast. It's 4 guys. They're YouTubers, but they all get together on Tuesdays and they talk just money and things that they're doing. But they're very safe investors. They're not like, oh, I'm going to go put $1 million into Shiba Inu and just watch it, whatever. They're very
not Jake Paul.
Yeah, exactly that. But they've made a lot of money. So one thing that I can give advice for, and I need to start doing what I'm about to say, is it's always better to just get in the market rather than try to time it. So consistently putting money in, regardless of whether it's going up or regardless of when it's going down.
Yes.
If you want to make it a little bit, more edgy, double whatever you put in when it's going down.
Correct. Okay.
But always try and consistently just put money in every single paycheck or every week or whatever you want to do.
So it's funny you mentioned that because I've had to get out of this habit, being married and having kind of like a budget. Mm-hmm. I say kind of like a budget. You should see my spreadsheet. It's epic. But actually Google Sheet so we can share it. So in the monthly planning that we do per month, we have a set balance of Roth IRA giving. Because if you split max Roth IRA, $6,000 a year times 2 people, it's $1,000 a month to max out both to have that set. And if you do the math, that's $12,000 a year just to a Roth IRA. Now, do some extra math. It's we're behind a few months on Ellie from last year, and we're trying to close out her 2021.
Because it ends what, April?
April 10th or whatever tax day is. April 14th? I don't know.
I think it's 14th.
14th.
Yeah.
See, we should know this stuff. But anyway, April.
This is not financial advice, blah, 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 the whole disclaimer.
No. We don't have lawyers, but don't sue us, please. And so it's that much money, and then we have to do extra. So instead of like $1,000 this month, I'm having to double it and do $2,000 this month to catch up, so we're not behind on her for next year.
Yeah.
Right? Because I had already maxed out at the beginning of last year my Roth IRA before we got married. Because I was like, I just don't want this to hit the budget at all. So I'm going to go ahead and $6K right at the beginning. And then once we make our budget, then I'll account for all that cash. And so, so now it's like, if you look at our spreadsheet, it's like because I have total columns for the year, and it's obnoxious how much money. It's like so much money is going to all these random ass places. Like I have like $2,500 to car fixing stuff, just like saving. And then it's like, I can't remember how much taxes, but it's so much taxes, dude. It's like almost 40 grand of tax. I'm like, this is so much money.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's like so much money.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, I'm probably over-exaggerating. I can't remember how much taxes.
No,
Maybe
that
20 grand?
That sounds about right. I think about the salary that I technically make on paper and how much I bring home.
Not even close.
And I even calculate, even with benefits, I mean, after taxes, I mean, I'm paying like $35,000 in tax, $40,000 a year.
Well, and you're single, so you get double screwed.
Yeah.
I don't get as screwed because we're married, so we get a little break for that. But I'm like, dude, I like being single, being you, living at home, taking advantage of the fact that you don't have as much overhead, overpowered.
Shit's getting to my head though, which we'll talk about. It's getting to my head. Last week, I had a very bad day last week.
Did you really?
And there's nothing that really happened. I was just in my head. I was like, wow, this sucks.
Okay, so hold on, let me relate to you real quick.
Sure.
So, still in the vein of money and we're so close to the end. Hold on, I don't want to go over, but let me tell this quick story. So, I was filling in my old position, right? I was filling in color chips at Lowe's.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, okay, so I went to Georgia Tech with some of the smartest people in the world. Some of my peers in the business school are making 6 figures right now consulting with like Bain and Company or whatever, EY. And I'm sitting here in Lowe's putting in color chips on the color wall, and grandmas are asking me what colors to pick. What the hell am I doing? It literally, I was like, what am I doing?
I'm having that realization, but in a different way. I'm having the realization that I'm sitting in my fucking childhood bedroom in my mom's house. Yes. So what? I'm making a decent amount. I'm saving money.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting in my fucking childhood bedroom 8 hours a day looking at a computer screen in my 20s.
Yeah, it's like, what are you doing?
In my prime years. Honestly, I should be out. I should be traveling. I should be fucking around in terms of like just my life. I just should be out doing crap ton of shit, and I'm sitting here in my childhood bedroom.
Okay, we're going to catch this right on the other side, but we're going to catch you right in the halftime show. So see you in just a second. All right, everybody, and welcome to your Manly Man Card halftime episode. And I say manly because we've got 2 men here.
Manly man.
On the way to manhood. And we're going to talk about stuff that is totally unrelated to anything we've been talking about thus far in the episode. Namely, this thing right here.
Are we talking about the company, or are we talking about just gum?
We're talking about gum, sticks of gum. And the reason I wanted to bring it up is because you've kind of taken hold on this podcast so far. And I want to take it back. All right. Do you remember in middle school or high school when you would come to school with one of these bad boys and you'd crack it out and you'd go to open it up
and it's gone,
and you would turn into a gum stick dealer?
Yep, instantly,
and you would be king of the classroom.
Yep.
It was almost like a social currency. It was the Bitcoin before Bitcoin was Bitcoin. And unfortunately, your fame was very short-lived. It was only as long as the pack lasted.
Yeah. Which was a class period.
Yeah, which is a class period, or as long as the flavor lasted, which was less than that.
Yeah.
So I bring that all to say, as speaking of social currency, things you should be investing in, things that you should be buying, there's one place I know where you can definitely get it all.
Where you can invest in some.
Where you can invest in some great stuff for yourself and gifts for others.
Some clothing.
Some apparel, as some would say. mancardpodcast.com. Go check it out. We've got a great shop over there. Some great stuff we've added. We've got these mugs, as you see on the table. We've got some great hoodies, beanies, sweatshirts, joggers, which I still need to get. Those are cool. And for all the grill daddies and mommies out there, we've got an awesome Manly Verified stamp apron.
I'm staring at it right now.
I know it's right there hanging in my kitchen. I use it. I'll tell you that. So go check it out. mancardpodcast.com. Links to all of our socials as well as YouTube. We're live on YouTube right now. So please go check it out. Support the channel. And we appreciate you. We can't make this happen without you. So in that vein, I'm going to send you back to the main episode.
Ooh, that was in that vein. I'm going to send you back to the main.
Hell yeah, dude.
Hell yeah.
See you in a second. All right, and welcome back to the main part of the episode. Unfortunately, as you can see, I ran out of gum.
Yeah.
So all of my social currency is gone, but in the same thought process of fake currency, you were just talking about before we had the break about how you're living at home.
Yeah.
And you and I both have kind of the similar feeling of like, oh, what am I doing right now?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like
it's different, but it's the same.
Well, here's the thing about it though, where I see a little kind of light at the end of the tunnel is you can kind of only go up from here, right? It's like you're starting, and my parents said this the other day, like Ellie and I were at my parents' house the other day and they were just kind of they know our finances pretty well. And of course they were thinking of like when they got married and they were buying their first house, like where their finances were. And they were just doing the math and they said that we are much better off financially than they were when they got married. And so, I mean, that's all you can ask for, right?
Yeah.
It's like being more set up because they did the math of like, well, how much do you guys have? And then, how much do houses cost? And how much did we pay for a house? And they put like, I think it was 20 grand down for a house that was like $150,000, $200,000 for their first house, right? And then at the end of the day, it's flash forward to today, $350,000, $400,000, you put $40,000 down, 10%. It's like, we're in the same spot and then we'll have some extra cash left over. So it's like, it's just all fungible and you think it's like, oh, this market sucks. It's the worst. But really it's like, it's the exact same and you can get more for it.
Do you kind of feel, so you said that your parents said that y'all are in a better financial situation than they were when they were buying
the same or better.
But do you kind of feel like you are less prepared than they were? Like, I mean, maybe they were sitting there thinking the same thing when they were our age, but me and Bella had this conversation. We were sitting there thinking like, we're kind of like in this rut or like, we're kind of just sucking at life. Life just doesn't feel like it should be.
I know why.
And we don't know how to necessarily get out. We feel like, the world is just doing great. Everyone seems to know what the fuck to do.
Okay. So I think that's the problem right there. So,
assuming the world knows what they're doing.
Right. And so what you just described is a phenomenon that I think has only come to fruition with the existence of the interconnectedness of our generation, right? Without social media, without LinkedIn, literally, I avoid going on LinkedIn because it makes me feel trash about where I am in my career progression. Because I literally look at somebody and I'm like, and he's working, it's a Bishop from Georgia Tech. Super nice guy, SAE, what a classic, dude. Old row, but super nice, gentleman's gentleman, right? And he's working at I don't know if you've heard of this, the company that's 3D printing rockets. And I'm like, okay, well, all right, there goes my day. It's like I feel like trash because this guy's literally 3D printing rockets. Yeah. And I'm here, selling paint.
Well, I think that, honestly, I need to get off social media because that's what I'm seeing too. I'm seeing, like, I see a lot of memes now, but it's so true that people are making, like, my salary selling the NFTs.
Correct.
They're making my salary selling little things on fucking Alibaba.
Like, Logan Paul drives me crazy because he's like, I've got 20 million in my crypto wallet. And I'm like, ugh. And that's more money than I'm going to see in 10 lifetimes. Yeah. And you've just got it sitting on just pixels online. He
dropped what, like 4 mil on Pokemon cards, and then it ended up being fake Pokemon cards. And
or it was like, G.I. Joe card, wasn't it? Like G.I. Joe
there's
cards?
G.I. Joe cards in the Pokemon things. And then he's like, that sucks.
Whatever.
I'm like, yeah, that would put me into some depression right there. 4 million or whatever.
That's crazy.
Million, period.
But I think like you're dead on the point where it's like we are as a generation, unfortunately, leaving ourselves behind. Right. Whereas my parents, they weren't as interconnected with everybody. And I think it behooved them. They felt like, oh, man, I feel like I'm kind of behind. But you can only be so comparative. Right. You can only compare it to the people who you're like directly associated with.
So they probably didn't feel that as much. They might have been like, oh, we're right on track. We're above. We're killing it.
We're killing it. Right. And so it's like for us, we go to buy houses, and now we're so interconnected that we know now it's like I'm one of 30 offers that are going on this house.
Yeah.
And I can go on Zillow later and see how much it sold for. Oh, it sold $40,000 above asking. Nope, couldn't afford that. So it's like we are so in the know, and with so much knowledge, I think is kind of the Achilles heel of our generation. Like we have too much information where it's making us feel like we are not achieving anything.
Well, in that aspect, it's nice because you can justify that. Because you can justify,
Right.
it's I see everybody else succeeding, and that's the downfall is I'm comparing myself. In my situation, I just sit there and think I'm gonna regret if I sit in my childhood house for the next year or whatever. I'm gonna be like 35 and be like, wow, I wish I could be 20 in my 20s again.
Yeah.
And what did I do in my 20s? Yes,
Sat
I
at your parents' house,
saved
yeah.
great money. I was probably making the smart financial decision, but like I'm never getting these years back ever.
So I met with John last week, and
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately we didn't record. We literally just talked for hours, and then Ellie came in, and then we kept talking. Right, we were just all talking about life and his trip right to Europe, which he said was awesome.
Yeah.
But here's the problem, and he said this very clearly. He was like, he was kind of, and he admitted this to me, which I want to get him back on so he can like talk more about it because I love John to death. But he was saying like he was kind of like running. He was just kind of running, right? Like going, because he was at an interesting point in his life when he decided to go on that trip. And I'll let him tell that part of the story because it's not my story to tell. But it's like for him, it was not really like he's not really living how he wants to live, right? He's kind of just like going all the time, and there's like he can hardly breathe, right? Mm-hmm. And so as much as we think like, oh man, I wish I was just traveling, wish I was going, wish I was moving.
I wish I was in that situation.
Right.
He wishes the opposite.
Right. So he just wishes for something different. And so it's like even if you guys switch shoes, the grass is always going to be greener on the other side of the fence. Mm-hmm. And so like I think coming to terms with contentment, right? I think that's an underrated word.
Yeah.
Do you know what that means?
Yeah. Contentment.
Just
content.
Being happy with where you are and what you have, right? And so I've had to, from the moment I had that realization of like, what am I doing? I'm putting in paint chips on a color wall. It's like, well, yeah, of course I'm doing that. That's where I am right now. That's my job, and that's where I'm going to be until the next thing comes. And so being able to just sit in a moment and say like, just take inventory and say, okay, I've got this going on. I'm very happily married to a wonderful wife. I've got great prospects. I'm growing my sales repertoire. I'm putting into the grunt work to be able to build that future for myself later. Instead of saying like, well, this is garbage, I hate this, just having a negative output on it. I'm going, okay, this is actually good for me right now because I can focus on what's most important, which is my wife, growing a family, getting set up financially for the future. All of that's way more important than frivolous trips or
That's fair.
big flashy job or car.
That's fair.
Which I sold, which I think I mentioned on a previous episode. But yeah, she's still sold.
Yeah. She's still gone.
She's still gone. I'm still driving.
Thanos snapped her out of
I know,
existence, and she ain't coming back.
I know. I'm still driving my parents' old car.
I would honestly milk that as long as I could.
Well, here's the funny part is we got Ellie her new car. It's a new car. It's a 2013 Nissan Pathfinder with like 128,000 miles on it. So it's like, we got it for like out the door $10,000. So we're still up because I sold my Jeep for like $28,000. So we're still up $18,000, right? And so I'm like, okay, well, I got her car fixed up, right, from all the issues that it was having, because all it needed really was to just get two new tires. Have y'all not
sold that car yet?
No.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just going to end up driving that car. It's got like great gas mileage. I fixed it up. It's getting 2 new tires on it tomorrow. It's going to be golden.
What is it? It's a Jeep what?
Yeah, 2015 Jeep Patriot.
How many miles?
94.
What do you think you're going to sell for?
I mean, I've had it posted forever on Facebook for like a week and a half on Facebook Marketplace.
What do you sell for?
Like 15.
Okay.
It's in the range.
Yeah,
for such low miles and well
course.
maintained. It's pretty good price.
I mean, even worst case, if you don't mind driving it, why don't you just keep it and you drive it?
So that's what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Is I'm about to take it off Facebook Marketplace and just drive it.
Deal with it, yeah.
And just be up $18,000.
Yeah, why not?
Because
That's
it gets
smart.
great gas mileage. It's low miles. It's not going to have any problems. The 4-cylinder gets good gas mileage.
Yeah, that's smart.
Like there's no problems
That's
with
smart.
it. So I'm just going to do that. And then my parents can have their old car back. And I'm like, all right, great. I mean, if somebody came along tomorrow and was like, I'll buy that car from you for 15 grand, I would say, great, here you go. Here's tax tag and title. Be on your way. I would immediately turn around though and buy a Volkswagen
Golf
Sport Wagon. I found a new car that I like more.
Sport Wagon.
The Sport Wagon. It's like a Volkswagen. It's like a wagon car.
Yeah. It's
And
one of those long body ones.
Long body ones. A turbo diesel. And so it gets like 40 miles to the gallon, seats like 5, and has a bunch of cargo space for all your luggage. So it's a killer road trip car. But that's the thing. It's like I don't want to necessarily then go out and spend another 10 grand again. I'd still be up more money in the grand scheme of it, but I'm like, it just doesn't make any sense. So I'm just gonna probably end up keeping it, driving it. It'll be great.
All right, so I kind of want to go back just because I thought of it when we were talking about, it, but I didn't bring it up. Your Roth IRA accounts.
Oh yeah, right.
So y'all are investing and you're getting caught up. My question is, do you have someone or do you invest in your Roth IRA account? Because you can put it in an account and leave it there, but it's not going to do anything.
Right. It's like a bank account.
Yeah. Are you personally investing things, or do you have someone that does that, or does your parents do that, or what?
No,
what's y'all's
So
plan
I've consulted with my dad about this, about like all the different basket funds and all the different mutual funds and mixed account, whatever.
Yeah.
And I have probably like 8, 9, or 10 different like basket mutual funds that I have split up between Ellie and my Roth IRAs. And I literally go in each month, $500 to each account, split it up between and if anything's down huge, like down really big, I'll tilt a little bit more percentage of that.
Okay.
Into that
that's all
fund.
I want to ask, because my friend Blake, granted, I've come to find out that he hasn't even set up a Roth IRA account, but this whole time I thought he had a Roth IRA account. He said he was putting money in it. 24, almost 25.
25, okay.
Yeah, and I was like, what are you putting in it? Like, where are you putting the money?
He needs to get started now.
No shit.
The best time was a long time ago, but
Yeah.
the next best time is
right now. And a lot of people just don't realize they put this money in a Roth IRA account and they're like, oh yeah, I'm doing great. It's like, no, like there's still an aspect of it. What you just did is the exact same thing as putting it into a savings account.
Oh, exactly.
If you don't,
it's actually worse, because some savings account even get you like a little tiny percentage back.
0.01% or something.
This one is like you shoved it under your mattress and are doing nothing with it.
Exactly. So you got to make sure it's going in different places.
Yeah.
So just wanted to clarify on that.
Oh,
just to make
definitely.
sure. I assumed you were definitely smarter than just to be like, oh yeah, we're putting it in and we're just going to wait.
I don't want to say that I'm smarter. I think it's just that my dad has spent a lot of time making sure I've been up to speed on all that is investing. Mm-hmm. At least enough to get me as a lazy millionaire. You know what I mean? Because that's just like, because I started my Roth IRA when I was 18, right? So it's been growing since I was 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23,
oh, yeah, so
24.
It's probably got a killing in there right now.
So
it's probably pretty good.
It's pretty good. But that's the thing, pretty good, right? It doesn't look like hardly at anything at all, right? If you just do the math.
Yeah.
And you're just like, well, that's just not that much, right? Because it's only had a very short amount of years to grow.
Yeah, 6,000 times 6 years.
6 years. That's it.
Yeah.
And it's
some.
greater than that a little bit, but it's not much.
Yeah.
Not much. So it's like, that's the trouble a lot of people get in. Like I was talking to one associate in Lowe's, and Lowe's is retail. So it's like, you just get a ton of different people going through that, whether they work there or come into the store. And I was talking to one associate, and she was talking to me about like, oh, okay, yeah, she has stuff invested in this account with Lowe's. They have the program because they're a company. And she was saying, how can I move the money that's in that account into an account that's more accessible? Mm-hmm. And I was thinking like, well, like why would you? My brain was kind of short-circuiting because I was like, why would you want to access it? And she answered me and she said, oh, well, we're about to do a family vacation and I want to use some of that money to go on a family vacation.
Yeah.
And so her IRA, her retirement fund, she wants to take some of that money and use it on a vacation now.
Stupid. Yeah.
And I'm like, how much is the vacation? And she was like, I don't know, $5,000-$6,000. It's like, holy shit. Like you were like, if you take that $5,000 and $6,000, extrapolate that out, you're literally robbing like $100,000 from yourself. Mm-hmm. I mean, not that much probably, but like $70,000.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
$70,000, $80,000, $90,000.
Depending on how long
from
they
yourself.
keep it in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So like you're robbing yourself of money. And I told her in not mincing words at all. I was like, do not do that and leave it, please.
Yeah.
And then my colleague who works with me walked up and he was like, what's going on? I was like, oh, she's about to, and he was like, oh yeah, don't do that.
Sell fucking
don't do
kidney
that.
first.
Yeah, right.
Like, honestly,
exactly.
you got
like,
two.
And that's the thing is like people think that like they watch it and they're like, oh, it's not going anywhere. And then because it hasn't reached the tipping point of compound interest, because it's going to look like it's doing nothing until it starts to just go straight up.
Yeah.
And so, people just get impatient and they're like, I got to take it out. And they penalize you, dude. They penalize you when you take stuff out of that account because they know, they're like, this is the next best thing. You know what's a good account? It's a good account when two things happen. One, they penalize you when you take out of it. And at the same time, they limit what you put into it. Right?
Yeah. Imagine if they didn't limit what you put into it. I'd put everything into it. It would be my savings account.
Right,
Like,
exactly. You would put all that money in and it would just boom, just go straight through the roof.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, no, sorry, it's too much of a hack. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like this great thing that we've created over here, the American experiment. It's like, you can't invest too much into it because it's just too overpowered.
Of course.
And I'm like, it's just the easiest way for like, if you're raising kids or just a good value to instill in saying, we want you to be like financially secure when you're in your 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
So be a lazy millionaire and just do this. Don't even think about it. Just do it.
If I'm not mistaken, you can start a Roth IRA account at any point in your lifetime.
Correct. You can start
when you're born.
When you're born.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think there's a problem with that where it's like it's like super limited. And at the same time, I don't think there's something with it.
So I think if I have kids, the second they're born, I'll be like, all right, give me the birth certificate, give me the Roth IRA account.
So here's a better thing to do when they're born is do a college fund. So that's what my parents did. The second my sister and I were born, they started college funds for both of us. And it was growing up until when we went to college. And then they cashed out those funds for us and then got to use it on us.
Is that a specific account, though, that's made for that? Or did they just put it in a savings account?
No, there's like a CRT. It's like a specific like college savings fund or whatever. But it's kind of like, it's the same thing as like a Roth IRA where it's not taxed, but it goes specifically into that to be used on school.
Yeah.
And so my sister's going out of state to Auburn. So that obviously the barrier to entry to Auburn out of state is going to be higher.
Yeah.
And I went in state to Georgia Tech, was an RA, had free housing, free meal plan.
Yeah.
Like books, class, everything was free except for like fees pretty much. So my college experience every single year was like a couple $1,000.
Yeah.
Maybe, if even that. And so they got to the end of my college experience and we're like, well, we didn't really tap out all of your college fund, or we used a good portion of it, so I'm glad you did all that. Now we can take the rest of it and give it to your sister. And I was like, oh, sweet. Have fun.
Yeah.
In Auburn.
Go right ahead. Yeah.
I was like, man, if I knew that was an option, I would get an apartment by myself in Auburn.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Although she's like, oh man, it kind of sucks because COVID and they don't let you hang out with people. And
really? Still?
Yeah. Well, when she was
Auburn?
Well, she was a freshman when it was like peaking in 2020. Okay. Right. So they
don't still do that, do they?
I don't think so.
I don't even think Georgia Tech does, and we are hella more liberal.
Well, that's the same thing. So Gavin and Eric, or not Eric, I don't think Eric was an RA anymore, but Gavin was talking to me the last year he was an RA before he quit, and he was like, yeah, he would walk to the bathroom and co-RAs would yell at him for not wearing a mask to go pee for 30 seconds. And I'm like, oh, damn. And that's the same thing that was happening at Auburn with my sister is like, they didn't host events. They didn't get people together. They didn't do any socializing things. So she was just kind of by herself for the whole year, and like nothing happened.
That was the best year to be an RA for me. I didn't have to do shit.
Yeah, well,
I didn't do shit when I needed to, but I didn't do anything when.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, you got to do online events. I was like, no one's going to show up. I'm not doing that.
Or just say people showed up and then.
Yeah.
That's like, what's your evidence?
That's
it's like, yeah.
Uh-huh. Absolutely.
But it's obnoxious because I feel bad for her at the same time. But then it's like, oh, you have a really cool, unique college experience, and you'll talk about it to your kids for generations. I got kicked out of my college experience. I had to leave, right? Because graduating 2020, and then it's like, and then at the end of hers, at the beginning of hers, she's gonna be like, well, I couldn't get with people at all.
Yeah.
So it's just odd. It's just odd. But anyway, college funds, invest in your kids. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's kind of funny, and I know I sent it to you this week. My net worth is now $8.
Dude, yeah, I saw that. We'll flash it on the screen right here.
Bam.
$8. Well, because you sent me that, and I immediately was like, I wonder what my net worth is. And so I went into Fidelity has a net worth calculator where you can add in non-Fidelity accounts. And I definitely don't want to say it on screen, but I'll show you afterwards if you're interested.
It's money I'm interested.
Yeah, right.
Period. You know me. You know what I'm driven by.
Well, so this is a funny thing that I experienced when I was younger. So Evans, obviously my best friend, right? We grew up together. And when I was at his house, I was with another kid that I was friends with, Matthew McKelvey. Shout out Matthew. What's up, dude? I think he's doing app development right now.
Oh, that's a great market. It's a great place.
Great place to be. But he went to tech, right? But before that, we were in high school together and middle school together. So we would obviously go to Evans's house, hang out, and Evans in his closet at this time, we were best friends. So like what's his is mine, mine is his kind of thing. And so he had a cigar box in his closet in middle school and high school, right? And next to it was like his money. Like he had money in his closet. And of course, like I'm a really honest kid. I'm not going to steal money from him. That's not mine. It's my best friend. It's your money. And so we were doing something like messing around in his closet, like around his money or whatever. And this was like one of 2 or 3 times where his dad got on to me as the friend for doing that. And so he was like, don't get in somebody else's money. Like that's his stuff or whatever he said. And it just really stuck out to me as unique because I'm like why wouldn't we want to talk about that? You know, like why is that so
such a touchy
private?
topic? That's what I'm
like
saying.
People will talk about what their sexual identity is before they'll talk about how much money they make.
Honestly, anyone ask me a question, I'll answer anything about my money. I'll tell
definitely.
you I'm broke as a joke. I said, my net worth, I am in the positive for once in my life.
Yeah.
Like I'm not negative anymore. I owed a lot of money to a lot of people. I have now, even though I haven't paid them back yet, I have $8 to my name that I can go and do whatever I want with.
Oh, hold on. Be careful saying that out loud. That means you have the money to pay them back. Because sorry, I'm broke. Don't have any money.
It's in my Roth IRA account. I can't do it. Deductions, slap on the wrist. I lose a finger every time.
Taxes. The lawyers, they'll get after me. But that's the thing. It's like, we're so touchy about money. We're so uptight about money. And it drives me up a wall because I'll be in an interview, right? And I'll just say, they're like, oh, what do you think about salary? And I'm like, let me just tell you exactly where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't help.
They don't like to talk about that on like one of the first interviews. Like that's just an inappropriate question to ask because it's like, no, why am I working this job? I'm working the job for money. I'm not like, yes, I might like it.
Exactly how much money I'm making so that you can know how much I'm making. And then you can go, oh, this is this is less than what you're making now. So you won't want it.
Yeah. And then also you want to play your cards right because obviously if you say, if you're applying to a job that on average makes 90K and you're making 60 and you're like, I'm making 60K right now, they'll be like, oh yeah, well we can offer you 70 when they could have done 90. So you play your cards smart there. But yes, I agree. I feel like why did it get so private?
Yeah.
When did it get so private? I assume it got private back years ago because my parents still say it's inappropriate to talk about money.
Well, my parents, it's like, I don't think my dad specifically come out and said like, it's bad to talk about money, but he does the same thing where it's like an interview, you don't want to say it. And I'm like, because I'm always interviewing for things just because I have a job and it's when you have a job, it's the best time to interview for jobs.
Yeah.
Because you're not worried about getting that job. So you're more kind of like, interviewing them than them interviewing you almost. Yeah. And so I just interviewed I think last week and I was like, you know what? He asked me, he's like, well, what do you think about, salary? And I was like, well, this is exactly what I'm making right now. And he said, actually, that's great. Because I had done the research before to see what he was going to say. Yeah. And he said, yeah, this job comes in right at around 100,000, So, and I was like, bam, that's great. And it was spot on with what I had done research for. And I'm like, great, that's awesome. That would be amazing. And he was like, yeah, definitely. So, I know you'd like it on that front. And then he started just selling the company. Money was kind of
out of the way.
All out of the way. Didn't even have to think about it anymore. And we just started talking about him, like the company.
Yeah.
And it was just more interesting.
And you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to sit there. It's also like a quick red flag thing. It's for you and the employer. Yeah. So the employer could sit there and just be like, or just even for you in general, you ask about the salary because let's just say you bring it up. It becomes normal for you to ask the question instead of the, interviewer.
Yeah.
How much money does this thing make? They tell you, oh, it only makes like 30K. You're like, boom, You know that you don't
Yeah.
care about the job, or they ask you the question how much you make. You tell them how much you make because who cares?
Yeah.
They're like, I'm going to be honest with you. The job wouldn't pay that much. Are you still even interested? Then you can just save time.
Save so much time.
Just,
well, that happened another time where I was interviewing for a job, and I know we're kind of right here at the end.
Yeah, go on.
But
finish it up.
But I was interviewing for a position, and I had this job that I have now.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, this position offers this much, and I was like, well, I'm actually making like $15,000 more than that.
Exactly. Yeah.
And they were like, well, we could offer, and they offered me like literally like $1,500 more than what they said. And I was like,
Yeah, you're forgetting a zero.
You're forgetting it. Like I said $15,000 more, and they were like, oh, well, that's the best we can do. And I was like, well, hey, appreciate your time. Obviously,
boom,
appreciate it. Thanks so much. And I'll definitely recommend the company for other people that I know.
Yeah.
And then that was it. No hard feelings. And I was like, it just made it much more simple. It was like, okay, well, that's the end of the conversation. Like, there's no more that needs to be said. So, yeah, moral of the story, just be honest about it.
Yeah.
Just be honest. Like, I don't know. It's just so hard because then you have to play a facade. You got to try to sell yourself up. You're stressed. Do they actually think that I'm better than I am?
Yeah.
It's like, no. Can you do this? No, I can't.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll train you.
Well, see, like, I get why, and I'll say this last thing. I get why it's private to an extent. But I feel like if you're asked about it, it shouldn't be one of those things that like you're uncomfortable to answer. It shouldn't
Definitely.
be, that's rude of you to answer. But like I see why they keep it private because obviously if you have coworkers, someone's been working there a little longer and you're getting paid a little more, they're getting paid a little more, and you're like, I'm doing more work or something. That's where you can have an issue. But like if some dude just comes up and be like, hey, how much money are you making a year? The fact that some people are like, wow, why would you ask me that? It's like, dude, I will tell you right now. I'll tell you exactly. I'll tell you every little detail in that thing I signed.
Yeah,
because I don't care.
Because it's good insight. And then it's like there was a TikTok where it was like this guy was like, hey, how much money do you make? Oh, how'd you buy that house? Do this thing. And they're all like, oh, why are you asking? That's rude. And then he becomes like a very poor spender later in life, and everybody's ridiculing him about, well, why didn't you ask about good money tips? And he was like, well, I tried to, but all of you just wouldn't tell me anything. Yeah. So more of the story, be honest, folks. Be honest to yourself and help others out for sure. Take an RA position. It humbles you. That's for sure.
God.
But we will see you on Friday, and we look forward to seeing you then. Tune in, see the new episode, and definitely don't forget mancardpodcast.com. We'll see you next time.